All right, good morning, traders. Today is April 29th. Wow, this month went by fast. Good morning to everybody out there in podcast land, digital land, cyber land. Thank you for subscribing and following and liking and leaving kind comments on my social media content. All right, appreciate that, love that. Special shout out to Bob Jordan, John Jordan, Kathy, Sarah Roasted, Rick Sadler, Ed Carter, and everybody else that shares the BYOB content, helping get the good word out there to the World Wide Web so that others can benefit in trading. All right, so let's take a look at the markets this morning. Well, actually, from yesterday, and then we'll look at some overnight before we leave today and see what we got coming up. All right, so SPY on the 10-minute yesterday coming into the close. I'm going to come over here and coming into the close. We've got the sticks and the 3 riding up on top of the rising 8 right there. So we got ourselves a 10-minute uptrend coming into the close on the 10-minute chart. On the 2-hour chart, a little bit different. Got the sticks and the 3 EMA riding underneath a flat 8 EMA right here. So we got ourselves, there's a little bit of daylight there. So we got ourselves a 2-hour downtrend. Not really a downtrend, but it's a 2-hour downtrend on that time frame right there. You can see price goes up and moves to the right. That's still part of a bullish flat. Still part of a bullish flag up there. All right, let's take a look at the daily chart. We'll come over here on the scratch. And for the candle, we got a lower high, a lower low. We closed inside a bullish trap. We closed over the rising 17. Did I forget the monologue? I forgot. Oh my gosh, I'm losing it. All right, my SPY pivot. Got ahead of myself there. My SPY pivot this morning, 7-11. Above it, I'm a bull. Below it, I'm a bear. T2123 made a new all-time high. Diamond Dow, higher low, higher high, closed inside a bullish trap over the rising 17 EMA. KQQQ, SPY, IWM, FNGU all made lower highs, lower lows, closed inside bullish traps over their rising 17 EMAs. SPY closed, 2-hour downtrend, 10-minute uptrend. Gold and silver made lower lows, lower highs, closing under bearish traps and under their 17 EMAs. USO, high flyer here, made a higher high, higher low, closing over a bullish trap over the rising 17. UNG made a lower high, lower low. Hey, no surprise there. Closing under a bearish trap under the falling 17. US dollar index in a daily downtrend and closed near the 98.61 area. SPY max pain for today, 7-11. All right, with a put to call ratio of about 1.6 puts. Isn't that my pivot? SPY max pain, 7-11. Same thing. All right, so with a put to call ratio of about 1.6 puts for each call that expires today at 4:15. Remember, those index options expire at 4:15. Security options expire at 4 for today, the daily options, all right? All right, so if this is your first time seeing this, these are all in bullish daily uptrends over the 17 EMA. These are all in bullish daily downtrends under the 17 EMA. If they got a little star next to it, they're building out a launch pad. All right, I call it a launch pad. It's a bull flag from which to launch higher. If they got a little dash, it means they're having they had a breakout from the bull flag. Okay, breakout with the bull flag. Nobody got a dash today. Okay, over here, if they got a little star next to it, they're building out a bear flag, or I call it a platform from which to dive lower. All right, let's take a look at the market. Okay, remember again, 10-minute. Got daylight and the sticks riding up over the rising 8, 10-minute uptrend coming into the close yesterday, 2-hour downtrend. Again, you can barely see it. You got to squint. All right, a little bit of daylight between the 3 EMA, which are riding underneath the 8 EMA. So 2-hour downtrend. But hey, let's look at this. This is still bullish consolidation up there on the 2-hour chart. Okay, on the daily chart, we got a lower high, lower low. I think everybody got a lower high, lower low, except for Diamond Dow. Closing inside bullish traps over the rising 17. Top of quadrant 4, that's going to be bullish and in an uptrend for SPY. Weekly chart, bullish and in an uptrend. Monthly chart, bullish and in an uptrend. I mean, it's hard not to be bullish and in an uptrend. I mean, just a couple days ago, they made the new all-time high. Okay, so there's SPY. Let's take a look at Diamond Dow. Okay, Diamond Dow yesterday, higher low, higher high, closed. Still closed inside the bear bullish trap there. Closed over the rising 17, closed over the all-time high anchored VWAP, closed in the middle of quadrant 4. This is the origin of our rally back here in April. Middle of quadrant 4, that's going to be bullish. Okay, they got a high here. They made a higher high. Since they made the higher high, okay, they've been kind of melting off and moving to the right, okay? They're kind of trying to hold the bull flag together up there. That's what it looks like to me. Just hanging on for all they got to hang on up there. So there's Diamond Dow. That's up bullish and in an uptrend because they made a higher high. Let's take a look at QQQ. All right, QQQ on the 10-minute chart. Not really an uptrend, not really a downtrend. Going to call it a little bit of bullish consolidation. Still in this bear flag here, right here on QQQ. Still in the bear flag, but with the 10-minute chart, the origin down here at 653, they moved up and now over to the right. So you can see QQQ. I'm just going to call it bullish consolidation, but inside that bear flag. Okay, so there's QQQ. Let's take a look. That's on the 10-minute chart, 2-hour chart, just like SPY. We got daylight between the 3 EMA and the 8 EMA. You can see the sticks and the 3 EMA are riding underneath that flat 8 EMA up there. So a little 2-hour downtrend, okay? Not to be trusted. Look at this, okay? I mean, that's still part of bull flag up there. Okay, so there's QQQ on the 2-hour chart. We have a 2-hour downtrend, but not to be trusted. Okay, daily candle, okay, lower high, lower low, closed in the bullish trap over the rising 17, very top of quadrant 4. Okay, that was the all-time high right there. So that's bullish and still in an uptrend on QQQ. Okay, on the weekly chart, bullish and in an uptrend, see all the green dots. And monthly chart, see all the green dots, bullish and in an uptrend on QQQ. Okay, so we just did Diamond Dow. Let's take a look at IWM. And IWM put in a lower high, a lower low. They closed, they closed under a bullish trap, but over the rising 17. Got to fix that. Up at the top of quadrant 4, that's going to be bullish. All right, and you can see there's a high. They made a higher high and in an uptrend for IWM on the daily chart. Let's take a look at Stinker. Stinker got a lower high, a lower low. They closed inside the bullish trap over the rising 17. Let's take this out of here. Over the all-time high anchored VWAP, over the midpoint. They are flirting with the bullish upper third up here. Okay, not quite there yet. They're flirting with it. Let's take a look at this from a bigger perspective. April low, which also happens to be April origin of the rally, also happens to be the all-time low. Top up here is October. I think that's late October. All-time high for FNGU. Pink line happens to be all-time high anchored VWAP. The dash line happens to be the midpoint, separating bullish price action from bearish price action. So you can see we're up in the bullish side of things. We're over the all-time high anchored VWAP. We're darn near knocking on the door of the upper third right here. Okay, so if we get up over the crosshairs, that's going to be bullish up there. We're not in quadrant 4 or the upper third, so we're neutral. All right, and you can see a high here, you can see a high here, and we made higher highs, so we're in an uptrend. So neutral and in an uptrend on the daily chart. When we go to the 15, it's going to look bullish and in an uptrend. There's FNGU on the daily chart. Okay, let's take a look at precious metals, silver and gold. Silver, lower low, lower high, closed under a bearish trap under the flat 17, under the all-time high anchored VWAP. Again, not in the upper third, not in the lower third, so neutral. And we have a low right there. I can see it poking through the 17 EMA. They made a lower low, so they just started a downtrend on silver. Okay, so silver starts a downtrend, but they're neutral because they're in quadrant 3 up here. Okay, not in the upper third, but in quadrant 3 under the all-time high anchored VWAP. So there's silver. Gold, same thing. They're going to be bullish, but in a downtrend. Lower high, lower low, closed under a bearish trap under the flat 17, under the all-time high anchored VWAP. You can see gold up here at the bottom of quadrant 4. That's bullish. But you can see here they've got a low, and they made a lower low right here. See that low? They made a lower low. So they're in it. They started a downtrend as well, right alongside silver. All right, let's take a look at USO. Take a look at energy. Higher low, higher high, closing. Oh, look at energy, setting a new all-time high this morning. Higher low, higher high, closing over a bullish trap over the rising 17. Tippy top of quadrant 4, that's going to be bullish. Let's pan out and see the origin of this move. And I think it comes from 2022, that post-COVID high right here. Remember the COVID rally? All right. So here's that post-COVID high. Anchored VWAP right there, and you can see we're up over that. So that starts back in, well, 2023 right there, and that puts us into our new 10-year high. That's a 10-year high right there. Okay, so 10-year high on USO. And looking like it's sticking out a new 10-year high this morning. So there's USO on the daily chart. And by the way, I give them permission to head up to 187. Not sure if they go that far, but they have my permission to go there. Okay, little tea leaves there. UNG. All right, UNG is one of those ones that just continues to disappoint the bulls. UNG yesterday is a lower high, a lower low. They closed under a bearish trap, closed under the falling 17, closed under the midpoint, closed under the 12-month high anchored VWAP, closing in the bottom of quadrant 1. This is the all-time low for UNG. I gotta tell you, I think they're either out to put in a double bottom, or they're out to make a new all-time low, and looking more like a new all-time low. So there's UNG, which never fails to disappoint, this year at least. Again, we're bearish because we're down in quadrant 1. Okay, remember this is just a 12-month high. Down in quadrant 1, this is the all-time low. Quadrant 1, that's bearish, and you can see a low right here. See a valley low below the 17 EMA, and we made lower lows, so we're in a downtrend. So bearish and in a downtrend right there. T2101. All right, so as the market's flirting with the all-time highs up there, look at the participation or absolute, what do they call that thing? I don't have the label up there, but this is the participation, anyways. Okay, participation. Wish I had it. It's getting thinner and thinner, so the market's getting whippier and whippier. Okay, so. Be careful, all right? Make sure you try to use your stops if you can, all right? I just advise, just to because we're in such a thin market. See how the participation just keeps dipping lower and lower each day. Even as we make new highs, you would think more and more traders would be piling on to price making new all-time highs. Look at Seagate. Look at who's the other one there that does storage. And look at Nvidia. Look at AMD. Look at Intel. It's been a while since they've been up there. I think they got some. I think they're flirting with all-time highs. I'm not positive, but they're on a roll anyways. Okay, so T2101 15-minute again coming down here, just getting thinner and thinner with the participation. All right, so be careful out there, and we're making new highs. I guess there's less obstruction in the markets, and they're kind of just letting them do what they got to do. So there's T2101 15-minute chart measuring the participation in the market. T2122. This is the white line starting on April 1st. You can see the majority of the line is up over the midpoint. This would be a bullish control, all right, of price action. This would be bearish control of price action. You can see they dipped twice in the whole month of April. That's it. They just dipped twice, and the bulls came in and rescued the dips both times. And look at that, almost a whole month. We're on the 29th of price action residing up here on the bullish side. And a lot of it is in the buy zone and in the overbought zone. So yesterday, we made a low. It's a higher low. That's good news. But we also made lower highs. The good news is we closed inside of the buy zone up here. Okay, so that was good news. So still, bulls are still in town. Bulls are still running. There's a herd of them out there, and they're taking the market to new highs. Just look at T2123 yesterday. That was the all-time high a few days ago. And you can see new all-time highs the day before and the day after. So that would be yesterday. Okay, so price action, you can see right there, new all-time high for T2123. Let's look at the day before. Bullish gap up. Look at them plank this thing at the all-time highs all day long, not even flinching, all right? Bears never filled the gap all day. Look at this. That's strength right there. Same deal yesterday. Bullish gap up. Bears tried to fill the gap. You can see this would have been gap fill. Okay, couldn't quite complete it. All right, there's a bullish clue right there. And the bulls rallied all day, like there. All right, so you can see them holding the highs over the prior consolidation. Okay, so this is bullish outlook there. So again, bulls are running, and T2123 made new all-time highs. Now, it doesn't matter if it's the 15-minute chart or the 3-bar chart, it's still new all-time highs. You can see on the 15, back to the 15, you can see we're up over the rising 200 SMA. It's where you want to be if you're a bull. You see price action holding the higher ground. All right, that's what you want to see as a bull. On the 3-bar chart, okay, you can see us over the rising 200 SMA. Again, that's where you want to be if you're a bull, making new all-time highs. Also, where you want to be, you can now see daylight between the prior all-time high. You couldn't see it before. You can see it clearly now if you squint. I'll zoom in so you can see that daylight between the all-time high and the top quad line. T2123 as bullish and in an uptrend, both 15-minute, excuse me, and the 3-bar chart. KFNGU, all right, this is going to be bullish. And get this, still in an uptrend. Even with that red at the beginning of the day, they never made a lower low. So still bullish and in an uptrend. Up over the rising 200 SMA. Up over the all-time high anchored VWAP right there. Okay, so price action. What do we got here? I see a lot of movement going around. Anyways, okay, so FNGU 15 minutes still bullish and in an uptrend. So not yesterday, but the day before, they made a new rally high. Yesterday, bearish gap down. Bulls never filled the gap, but they never gave up the lower low either. So bullish and in an uptrend. So if I pan way out, slap the quad lines in there as much of the time as I can get, you can see we're at the top of quadrant 4. All right, and we have not made lower lows, so we're still in that uptrend. So that's FNGU, stinker on the 15-minute chart. U.S. daily index, you see here's the dollar. This is 2025. We go into a 6-month daily downtrend, making lower highs and lower lows, to finish into a bear flag that's lasted 10 months. Right here, currently, we have a low right here in the M. See the M? We have a low, and you can see we made lower lows. We have not made any higher highs yet, so currently we're in a daily downtrend within the 10-month bear flag right here. So that's the U.S. dollar index. Now, I must have had the wrong economic data up because I didn't see all of this earlier, so I guess I was on the wrong week. I'm sorry about that. Reporting different things. Nobody said anything, but who knows who's listening. We'll see what happens. Today, this morning, see if I can get this right this time, on the 29th, durable good orders, 8:30, housing starts and permits. Another delayed report. I guess we're still in the shutdown. 8:30 as well. Housing starts and permits again. Okay, so we got the delayed report backed up by the current report. We got international trading goods, 8:30 as well. Retail inventories, another delayed report coming out at 8:30. We got wholesale inventories, another delayed report coming out at 8:30. We got a petroleum report at 10:30. That's normal inventories and status on the petroleum side of things. And then we got an FOMC announcement at 2 p.m. I don't think he's going to do a darn thing. There's just too much energy inflation for him to touch it at this time. It's just too hot. All right? It's too hot for him to cut rates. And he might even raise a rate. I don't know. He's kind of, he's not dovish, that's for sure. But a little bit hawkish. He might even raise it a quarter. I don't know. But that's FOMC at 2 p.m. today. And then he's going to back up his decision at 2:30 with a little press conference. All right. So reality for me, I don't see him touching it. I don't see him moving the FOMC rate at all. If anything, possible raise it because of, well, the energy. It's still uncertain over there. Okay, you got a group of people, all right, that are very well put together and very well funded, all right, that are willing to give up all of their guns, all of their ammunition, all of their missiles, all right? All of the shirts and clothes that they wear, including their undergarments, okay? They're willing to give up their firstborn, their secondborn, their wife. They are willing to give up everything. They just want to make a nuclear bomb, okay? You can have everything. They just want to make a nuclear bomb, okay? That's how radical they are over there, okay? We got ourselves into something by kicking the hornet's nest, that's for sure. All right? But we're dealing with a group that is not willing to concede to anything. And I'm telling you, they'll give up everything that they got. All their tanks, all their planes, all their missiles. All right? They just want to make a nuclear bomb. That's it. They'll even give up their religion. All right? That's how radical they are. They just want to make a nuclear bomb. That's who we're dealing with over there. So it might be a long time before, I don't know, the energy markets get fixed. All right. All right. So we'll see. All right. But anyways, that's what we're dealing with. This is the FOMC announcement, and that's why I don't think he's not going to change a darn thing. All right. GDP 8:30 tomorrow. Jobless claims 8:30 tomorrow. Personal income and outlays 8:30 tomorrow. None of those are delayed reports. That's good news. Employment cost index 8:30 tomorrow. Chicago PMI 945. Leading indicators at 10, and a natural gas report at 10:30. See if I'm missing anything. No. PMI manufacturing final on Friday 9:45. ISM manufacturing index at 10. Rig count at 1 o'clock. Okay, so tomorrow we've got some big earnings coming out. Okay, so actually tonight, big earnings. Okay, so we may see a blow off the top week this week and next week. I don't know, all right, but I'm just saying. Storage is hot, and the chip stocks, like the SMH, are hot. Okay, so we may see a blow off the top event coming up. I don't know, at the end of this week, maybe the beginning, maybe next week. All right, so be prepared for that. And because there's no peace over there in the Middle East, all right, not yet, and I don't think we're ever going to get it. Okay, be a miracle if we do, but I have hope, but it's, I'm not putting a lot of bank on it. Okay. Anyways, all right, it's probably this week and next week we have the possibility to really blow off the top, meaning put a huge spike to the upside, and then that's going to be it. I think that'll be it for the end of the year, for the year of 2026, and then I think we're done. All right, probably go into a consolidation for the next 2 or 3 years after that. That's what I see coming. All right, we'll see what happens. Tonight, Google got 2 of them reporting. Total market cap $8 trillion. That's a market mover. $3.2 trillion. Microsoft again tonight, market mover. Amazon $2.7 trillion. Again, market mover tonight. Big time market movement tonight. $1.7 trillion. Meta comes out tonight. AstraZeneca this morning, $610 billion. That's not too shabby. That's over $500 billion. AbbVie, $354 billion. They report this morning. USB Financial, $191 billion. A lot more familiar names. They're not going to be the market movers that are the headliners for tonight. Okay, so a lot of volatility coming tonight and tomorrow and all this week. All right, and then I think next week is probably going to be the blow off the top week. If it's not next week, it'll begin next week, and then following after that. We'll see if they're going to have a blow off the top. Okay, Thursday, we got Apple, again, $4 trillion. Okay, not too shabby. All right, that's a market mover. But, of course, we'll still have the remnants of all of these reporting the day before. Okay, Eli Lilly, $870 billion. They're going to report tomorrow morning. MasterCard, $454 billion. They'll be looking at MasterCard and Visa, which is supposed to report. Did they already report? They reported Tuesday evening, so it'll be interesting what they did. Thursday, again, Apple. Again, SanDisk. All right, there's one of those storage. Western Digital, another storage. Okay, they're hot. Storage and chip stocks are hot. Tip of the spear is getting hot. Okay, so there'll be all eyes on these. Even though Amgen has a bigger market cap. ConocoPhillips has a bigger market cap. Caterpillar has a bigger market cap. There'll be a lot of eyes on the MasterCard and the Visa, all right? Because if we don't have the credit, we can't buy the hardware. And this is the hardware that goes with the tip of the spear is the storage right here, SanDisk and Western Digital. So even though they don't have the market cap, they will help set the temperature for the market being with what they report. Okay, so watch these two. These are all part of the tip of the spear. Is the SanDisk, Western Digital, again MasterCard. Again, we're going to need that. Without the capital, they can't afford the computers or the hardware or the servers, everything that's needed to make it all function. Okay, so Friday we got Berkshire Hathaway, $2 trillion if you combine the $1 trillion each. All right, not going to be a whole lot of headline on that. We'll still have leftover whatever happens on Wednesday and Thursday. We'll still be setting the tone between SanDisk, Western Digital, Apple, MasterCard, Visa, and everybody else there. Okay, so even though Berkshire is going to report, it's not going to make a big difference. Whatever's going on here is probably going to set the tone. Not to mention it's an options expiration Friday. So there's no telling if they're even paying attention to whatever Berkshire reports. If they report, they don't even know if they're going to do a sunshine or a moonshine here because they're still, they haven't come up with a time yet. All right, so that's it. Max Payne for today is 7-11 with a put-to-call ratio of about 1.6 puts for each call that expires today. So what's going on this morning? All right, let's take a look at that, okay? And we'll take a look at it on the SPY. Okay, so those that were with me early this morning in the room, I already shared what's going on. 10-minute chart, and we want pre-market, post-market. You can see we're going into a 10-minute downtrend. Okay, where do I expect it to go? Probably double bottom right here on 709.36. Okay, I'm expecting a W pattern to form. So we already got this part of the W. Let's see if we get the drawing tools out. It'll probably all happen before the market opens. We'll see what happens, but I think this is all going to happen before the market opens. See if my drawing tools come in anytime now. They're coming. They're loading. Come on, guys. There we go. Okay, trash that. Move this out of the way. Okay, so here's wall one of our W pattern. Okay, and then we're coming up to here. Is there an invasion, baby? And then I think we're coming down here. All right. And then I think there's a W. And then we come back up to the highs up here. That's what I think happens. Okay. And let me explain why. Okay. So the last two times, right here, the bulls rescued the price action. Right here, the bulls rescued the price action. This is a 10-minute chart. Okay, so right here we had a V bottom. Right there. V bottom. Okay, and then right here, another V bottom. Okay, so I think this one winds up being a W pattern. Okay, notice both times the bulls rescued the price. And to me, it does not look like they're done. Okay, so I see a W kind of forming here. And then I think we come back all the way back up to these highs, maybe even make a new all-time high. Okay, so that's what I think happens today. All right, a double bottom here. all right, and then come back up, and there'll be a little fight up here next to the apex, all right, of the W pattern. All right, so I think there'll be a little fight right here, and then whoever wins probably move on to complete their mission. All right, so if they win, they complete the other side of the W up there. Okay, if they lose, then we'll roll over and come down. Okay, but even if we roll over and come down, I think between Google, Meta, and all of them, we'll probably be flying high either tonight or tomorrow morning based on the earnings outlook. And it seems like we're hot because the market doesn't put us at all-time highs unless they know something. And it seems like they know something, all right, because they've got us up here at these all-time highs. All right, so I'm going to guess that they're going to be high. And then they're probably looking for every opportunity to shoot it even higher. All right. We'll see. All right. But that's the plan right now. Okay. So currently on the 10-minute chart, I'm going to zoom in. Okay. You can see you got 10-minute downtrend. All right. And then you can see over here. Okay. See the stair stepping down on the 10-minute. Stair stepping down. Okay. So I'm looking for continuation of the 10-minute downtrend down to the prior lows, which are 709.35, 709.40. Okay, double bottom, this bottom, and then this bottom. They might even dig out a little bit lower, not much. Okay, and then rip all the way back up to the highs. Okay, they'll have a battle right here. Okay, at 712.50 again, or 712.34. I'm expecting that. And then back on up to 715, 716 area. Okay, that's my plan. Trade the 10-minute continuation of the 10-minute downtrend. Okay, so they probably linger down here until FOMC, and then they probably rally it back up there after FOMC. All right, or they might not even rally it back up. They might just leave it here and wait for the Google earnings and the Meta earnings, and then rip it up there in the aftermarket. Okay, so I'm looking for a trip back down here to 709.50. That's a continuation of the 10-minute downtrend. That's my plan this morning. Okay, now if they break the pre-market highs, the post-market highs, I'm going to be bullish to the upside for a gap fill and then a challenge of the all-time high. Okay, I'm in a continuation of the downtrend. All right, or a break of the overnight or morning highs. Break the highs, looking for the gap fill. All right, as of now, trade a continuation of the 10-minute downtrend. All right, that's the plan for this morning. Thanks, traders. I'll see you guys in about 35 minutes. We'll open up the markets together.